We borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture. That is not a recipe for economic prosperity. It's not a recipe for low prices, and it's not a recipe for good jobs in the United States of America.
中方对中美经贸关系的立场已经讲得很清楚了。听到这位副总统说出这样无知又缺乏礼貌的话，令人诧异，也感到悲哀。
Oh, I'm not offended. I'm not offended. I think a lot of people are not offended because, in case you don't know, China is an agricultural country, and a lot of us are descendants of farmers and descendants of peasants, and that's totally fine because in our value system, we praise hardworking people, and the farmers are the people who is the foundation of the country. It's the foundation of people because they grow food. So I am not offended. Sorry.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel where we dive into the biggest headlines from around the world. Today we have a hot topic that is causing a storm in international relations and sparking heated reactions on both sides. Recently, a statement made by the U.S. Vice President has sent shockwaves through China, leading to a strong and emotional response from the Chinese government and citizens alike. In his remarks, the Vice President claimed that we borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture, a comment that has drawn fierce criticism. In response, China has already made its position crystal clear, expressing surprise and disappointment over what they call ignorant and disrespectful remarks. So what exactly is going on here? And how are the people of China reacting to this? Our tension between the US and China is set to escalate even further. Stay tuned as we break down the story and explore the growing backlash from Chinese citizens and officials. You don't want to miss this. Welcome to today's analysis. Let's get into it.
President of the United States called me a peasant.
Chinese peasants.
At first I was confused because in China the word peasant or farmer is not a derogatory term. On the contrary, it is a highly respected profession. You could even say that agriculture is the very foundation of our nation. One of the most respected figures is Yuan Nongping, whose hybrid rice technology solved the food problem for 1.4 billion people in China. Farming is in our DNA. When we brought back soil samples from the far side of the moon, the first question people asked was whether we could grow crops in it. Thanks to this, Chinese people now have access to a wide variety of fresh and affordable vegetables. It was only later that I realized that in the United States, peasant is used as an insult, and a person saying it clearly didn't mean well. It reminds me there was once a second-generation Syrian immigrant born in the UK who mocked our leader in front of me for coming from a farming background. He said his country's leader all came from elite universities or noble families. But what he didn't know is that in China, we have an old saying, 王侯将相宁有种乎? Are kings and nobles born to be so? And another, 英雄不问出处. A true hero is not judged by where he comes from. This means that greatness isn't determined by birth or background. Likewise, wearing fancy clothes doesn't make someone great. Arrogance and ignorance only reveal a petty soul. Yeah, the word peasant does not insult China, nor the hardworking Chinese people. It only insults the character of the one who said it, and the road himself came from. Yeah, sorry for that.
Y'all, I've been cracking up for 24 hours with this whole China tariff war with America. That man said China's initial tariffs was 34%. You know why it was 34%? Because the president of the United States got 34 felonies. It gets better. It gets better. Another one said, here are all the things that are made in America in my house. And he had an empty hand. Then he said, now show me all the things that are made in China in your house. Then the whole J.D. Vance calling them peasants. Meanwhile, this man is ordering Subway from the park and a drone drops it off to him while he walking in the park. The ghetto. Bitch, America is the trailer park with a $65,000 Birkin made in China for $20. But my favorite so far, somebody said Somebody said that China is playing chess with America and the chessboard is made in China. Bitch. America is a joke because it is built off of the hatred of people, especially black people. They got videos of Americans being asked about DEI and they don't even know what it stands for. They have Americans upset at CRT and they don't understand what it is. They have Americans voting against universal health care, a livable wage, equity and inclusion. Meanwhile, in China, their railway system is floating in the damn air. They have clean streets everywhere. They have affordable housing, healthcare, and food. Their children are not going hungry. Their children are outperforming our children by years. And America's out here like, we're the exception. No, bitch. We are the third world country with a Gucci purse made in China with an Italian label that y'all paid $10,000, maybe more. And it costs $20 to make. Bitch, this country's so fucking stupid.
A little bit more crystal clear, we borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture.
First, I want to speak directly to my Chinese brothers and sisters. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the disrespect that is shown by our vice president, someone who should speak with wisdom, but instead chooses to mock your humanity. JD Vance says we borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy their products. Peasants? That word drips with colonial arrogance, the kind used to dehumanize and divide. This is something we've been through before, and still communities like the Mexican community are going through. This isn't about economics, this is about coded racism. Statements like that are crafted to appeal to a certain American crowd, one that's been taught to blame other people for the problems created by the powerful right here at home. And if this is how they talk in public, imagine how they talk behind closed doors. To my Mexican American community, we know this playbook. They call our people illegals, our labor cheap, our culture invasive. But let's be clear, not all Americans think like this. Some of us stand with dignity, with unity, and respect for all people. We don't build power by punching down. We rise together, or not at all. Because racism in a suit is still racism, and we see it.
The recent comments made by the U.S. Vice President regarding America's trade relationship with China has triggered a wave of anger and disappointment across Chinese media, government circles, and among ordinary citizens. To quote directly, he said, "We borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture." This statement is not only factually questionable, but it also carries it with a tone of condescension that has deeply offended many in China. Let's begin unpacking the language itself. The term Chinese peasants is outdated and widely considered derogatory. It invokes a patronizing image that overlooks the transformation China has undergone over the past 4 decades. While it's true that a significant portion of Chinese manufacturing labor comes from rural immigrants, calling them peasants ignores the social and economic complexities of modern China. It erases the strides China has made in urbanization, education, and industry development. Today, Chinese manufacturing workers are part of a highly organized and technological advanced supply chain that services nearly every major global brand. To reduce these workers to the term peasants is not just linguistically offensive, it's factually inaccurate and politically insensitive. In China, the official term is Nonggin, which literally means farmer, but even that has been gradually replaced in discourse with terms like rural laborers or immigrant workers, reflecting a more respectful and model understanding of their role in society. Chinese nations were quick to express their discontent on platforms like Weibo and Bilibili. Hashtag translating to ignorance VP and American arrogance quickly began trending. One user wrote, "We are no longer the China of 1980. The world buys from China because we deliver quality, not because we are cheap." Another commented, "Who is borrowing from whom? Didn't the US raise its debt selling again just last year?" This brings us to the economic reality. The notion that the US is borrowing from Chinese peasants misrepresents how international trade and debt work. The United States does indeed hold a significant amount of debt, and China is one of the largest foreign holders of U.S. Treasury bonds. But this is not a charitable loan from Chinese individuals. It's a calculated financial strategy that the Chinese government to stabilize its own currency and economy. It's a microeconomic decision made by central banks, not something peasants in the rural China are deciding over dinner. Furthermore, the comment ignores the interdependence of U.S. China trade. American consumers enjoy lower prices on electronics, clothing, and household goods because of Chinese manufacturing. Meanwhile, Chinese manufacturers thrive thanks to consistent demand from U.S. companies and consumers. It's a two-way relationship that has been beneficial, though not without its complication for both sides. So when a high-ranking U.S. official frames this as a one-sided dependency, it not only distorts the truth but also poisons diplomatic dialogue. It reflects a narrative that places blame on China for economic issues that are, in many ways, the result of internal American policy decisions, decades of offshoring, deregulation, and underinvestment in domestic manufacturing. Chinese officials, of course, didn't let this slide. The officials' response from the foreign ministry was calm but firm. Chinese position on U.S. China economy and trade relations has been made very clear. Hearing such ignorant and disrespectful remarks from a vice president is shocking and saddening. This kind of language from Beijing is unusually strong, signaling just how deeply the comment was taken as an insult. Beyond the diplomatic statement, this moment taps into a growing sentiment in China, a pride in national development and a readiness to reject foreign criticism. In the past, China may have remained quieter in the face of Western political history, but that is no longer the case. The generation born in the era of smartphones, high-speed rail, and global commerce are vocal and assertive. They don't see their country as playing catch-up, they see it as a global leader. Let's also consider the timing. We are living in an era of heightened geopolitical tension, trade disputes, tech wars, military posturing in the South China Sea, and polarized narrative between Washington and Beijing. Comments like this don't just affect headlines, they deepen mistrust, harden nationalistic attitudes, and reduce the space for cooperation. This is especially important in a time when the world needs more collaboration than conflict, from climate change to global health to supply chain resiliency. The US and China are two indispensable players, reducing their relationship to insult those no one any favors. And while it's tempting for politicians to use strong language to rally domestic support, we must remember that diplomacy is a long game. One poorly worded sentence can set back months, if not years, of relationship building. Let's be honest here. No one expects international relations to be free of friction, but there is a line between strategic criticism and outright disrespect. The vice president's statement crossed that line, and the backlash from China is a reminder that words matter, especially when spoken on a global stage. To sum it up, this moment isn't just about one comment. It's a reflection of deeper tension, misperception, and the urgent need for more information dialogue. If world leaders want to guide their countries through an era of competition and cooperation, they will need to choose words with far more care. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the vice president comments were out of line or just political posturing? I will be reading and replying. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.